Hello everyone, this is Brother Will coming back to you with a quick message. I want to talk to you a little bit about a little conversation I had with one of my next door neighbors. Doing a neighbor thing, sometimes you sit down and talk and drink coffee and just start having interesting conversations. And one day my neighbor just got to talking about life and some things that were going on that she realized and understand, and she was talking about the older you get, the more you just sit down and just think and look and think and just pay attention to stuff. And she told me one of the things that her parents taught her, that she grew up under the quote that never be a person to have clean clothes on a dirty soul. And she said that, and that kind of struck me. I was like, hold on now, come on, run that back by me again. She said, yeah, my parents never, she told me never to have clean clothes on a dirty soul. And so the more she spoke, I realized she was talking about the generations that come. And I couldn't help but ask myself a couple of questions as she was speaking. So before I ask the question that hit my mind as we go through this little conversation, these words of encouragement, is clean clothes on a dirty soul. How that struck me as I wrote that down and was listening to her. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, Lord, what can those words do to help me? Because it just made sense as she was talking. And I thought about a scripture as I asked the Lord that question. Just help me to understand this more. Certain scripture hit my mind. And that scripture is in the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verses 23 through 28. And it reads, Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice and mercy and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone. Blind guides who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you cleanse the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of extortion and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisee, first cleanse the inside of the cup and dish, that the outside of them may be clean also. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like whitewashed tombs, which indeed appear beautiful outwardly, but inside are full of dead men's bones and all uncleanliness. Even so, you must outwardly appear righteous to men, but inside you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. And I got to thinking about that. One of the questions hit my mind as I read this, and it's something I think we can all ask ourselves. Lord, are you talking to me? Because that question runs deep. Because we all know that it's no way possible for us to outthink or be fake toward the Most High. It's just not going to happen. And it's one of the reasons why this word is here on this earth, to help us identify where we are and start working toward doing better in all aspects of life and everything pertaining to life. this word can help us. And so another thing came to my mind, because she just made too much sense as she said this, was not only should we clean ourselves inside and out, but a question came to my mind as she was talking, and it's something that I believe will help us. It's not only are we supposed to fix us, think about what we do to our offspring. Think about what we leave behind when we are not fixing us. Think about who's looking at us and who we're affecting. So I couldn't help but ask this next question. Are we promoting generational ignorance? And I think that's a valid question. So when I think about the offspring, our children, our family, how we influence people, everything, I couldn't help but just try and put a scripture to this and try and promote good works, not only for self, but mostly because we are here to please the Most High, so He can look upon us and be happy with us and be pleased with us. I just thought of something. For some reason, King David came to my mind. So as let's look at a couple of scriptures, and I don't want to be long. I want to hear up and get through this few words of encouragement. In the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 3, verse 1, it reads, "Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David grew stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul grew weaker and weaker." Now we see here a war going on. David and Saul. Saul was getting weaker, David was getting stronger. Let's talk about some things that we can get strong in. One of them is faith. And if you go to the book of Luke, chapter 17, verse 5, it simply reads a question that the disciples presented to our Messiah. And it was a simple question: increase our faith. And so with that being said, when we increase in faith, obviously we increase our strength, our love, our dependence, our relying on the Most High and the power that He has stored for us. And as we increase our faith, let's look at some things that happen whenever we increase our faith in the Most High. This is going to be another Old Testament story. Once again, I was thinking about David. One of the things that crossed my mind was, as we see, Saul and David were warring with each other. Saul was getting weaker, but David was getting stronger. And one of the things that shows us that we're strong as opposed to weak is we don't allow whatever entity to come and control us. We don't just allow things to control us. We control things. One of the things that could get into the way of our faith walk is jealousy. I'm going to tie this to generational ignorance here in just a second, but let's look at this story real quick. It could be anything that can get into the way of you giving your focus and your love to the Most High, that could just come in and totally just start destroying your actions, and you don't know how your actions could affect others. So what are your and my actions that's distracting? One of them is jealousy. For instance, in the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 18, verse 6, it reads, we're going to read verse 6 through verse 11. It reads, Now it happened as they were coming home when David was returning from the slaughter of the Philistines, that the women had come out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with tambourines, with joy, and with musical instruments. So the women sang as they danced, and said, Saul has slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Then Saul was very angry, and the saying displeased him, and he said, They have ascribed to David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed only thousands. Now what more can he have but the kingdom? So Saul eyed David from that day forward. And it happened on the next day that the distressing spirit from God came upon Saul, and he prophesied inside the house. So David played music with his hand, as at other times. But there was a spear in Saul's hand. Now watch this. We see this jealousy spirit, this anger spirit has came upon Saul. Now that is an emotion. The emotion is about to spew into an action. Now read verse 11. And Saul cast the spear, for he said, I will pin David to the wall. Now what kind of jealousy, anger, frustration, misunderstanding, not being happy for somebody else led this man who was holding a spear in his hand, and the other man was sitting over there just doing what he was doing. He was over there playing music, minding his business. But you got some folks that just sit back and just eyeball you. And the action that comes to your mind is you thinking of taking a person and pinning him to the wall, driving a spear through his body so hard that it takes him and push him into a wall and make him stick there. That's the type of stuff that was on this person who was Saul, who was weaker, who kept getting weaker and weaker. This kind of stuff on a weak person's mind. How can I destroy someone else? But see, when you have God on your side and you increase in your faith and your love toward Him, you see how God take you and remove you away from foolishness. In verse 12 it says, Now Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him, but had departed from Saul. I'm sorry, let me finish up the end of verse 11. It says, But David escaped his presence twice. So more than one time Saul tried to do that to him. Saul tried to kill him. But as we read in verse 12, it says, Saul was afraid of David because the Lord was with him. And watch this. What David had to do but had departed from Saul. And some people, you just got to leave them. I said this before. Go back and read Genesis chapter 31, verse 3 through 7. And also verse 20 and 21 of Genesis 31. It would tell you, it would show you that you have the authority from God. When you get a heads up that some people are just a certain way, when God opened up a door for you to get away from these certain types of people, get away from them. You don't have to just sit there and accept their evil ways. Because see, you don't know how their evil ways may influence you to be evil. So no, you don't have to accept that. When God opened up a door for you, you have the right to get up and walk through that door. That's one of the ways God keeps His children safe. Also, the book of Luke chapter 4, verse 28 through 30. Those are words of encouragement. These are words of encouragement. You have the right to walk through the door that the good Lord opened up for you. The Most High in heaven is always looking for ways to keep his children protected. We got to know how to listen to the Most High. So let me hurry up here. Let me go ahead and attach this to the question, are we promoting generational ignorance? We see how with Saul, jealousy, anger, frustration, inability to be happy can cause you to take action. And as we read Matthew chapter 7, Matthew chapter 7, and in verse, right here, verse 17, it says, even so every good tree bears good fruit, but a bad tree bears bad fruit. A good tree cannot bear good fruit. A good tree cannot bear bad fruit, nor can a bad tree bear good fruit. Every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. Therefore, by their fruits you will know them. And think about this. What are we saying? What are we doing? What are our actions that when we put forward from the inside of our heart, when we act on what's in our heart and how we treat others, how we talk to others, are we spreading the gospel? Are we teaching others to do better? Are we spreading envious words or angry words, or are we telling lies? What are we doing? Is this pleasing to the Most High? All these things that's going on in this world, do we know how we're affecting others? And the fruit of what you give off, it will show. Are we fixing our mind that when trouble come our way, are we going toward trouble with trouble? Are we fighting fire with fire? Or are we fighting it with water? It's a bunch going on in this world that this stuff got to get fixed. Something got to get fixed. Because generationally, we see our next generation. I will say this. I'm starting to see something in this next generation that says we're starting to pivot toward the right things now. At least that's what I hope. We just got to start just keep it in the right direction. Let's not go weaker and weaker. Let's grow stronger and stronger. And that's the reason for these words of encouragement. Let's keep getting stronger and stronger. And so as it come to a close, she said something that caught my attention. And it came from some things that her parents taught her. So I just want to share a little something that my mother taught me. And I'm going to kind of put my little business out there in the street a little bit. But I'm not ashamed of it. It was a life lesson. It was a lesson learned, and it's something my mother taught me. I remember a while back, I think I was about 20, give a little, take a little, probably about 24, 25 years old, something like that. And I was having relationship problems, as usual. And you know, now I take that back. I think I was 27 at the time. Yeah, and I had a girlfriend. We really wasn't getting along, and I knew we wasn't gonna make it. So I called myself doing something stupid. I was drinking my problems away, and the thing was, my mother caught me. Now, we come from a background we really don't do a lot of drinking. We don't do that. Matter of fact, we don't drink at all. And when my mother found out I was drinking, and she realized what was going on, I never forget it. I was sitting in her driveway. I was in my car, and can't remember what I was drinking, but I knew I was lit. And when I say I was probably a whole bottle of whatever it was I was gone. And she came outside and told me something, and she realized my speech wasn't right. She said, "Yeah, I know what you're doing." And I said, "Mom, I'm sorry." She said, "I know what your problem is. You don't know where to door at." And I mean, as drunk as I was, I almost sobered up instantly. And I said, "Huh?" I said, "Mom, what you mean by that?" She said, "You having relationship problems because you don't know where the door is." And so as simple as this. Whenever you find out where the door at, you don't have to pay for your problems anymore. Now you keep walking through that door, you're gonna keep paying for it. And you're gonna keep paying for that liquor, and you're gonna keep paying for your problems, and nothing's gonna change. Find the door. When she said that, I'm telling y'all, that woman should have never told me that, because she changed my whole life. And I'm being serious about something. My mama changed my life with them words. You need to find the door, because it's free to walk through it. Now you keep walking, it's free to walk out of it. Now if you keep walking through it, you're gonna go in there and pay for your problems. When you walk out of it, don't go back. I mean, you don't have to pay for that no more. You don't have to drink no more. None of that. It's just like it just stops. So yeah, my mama messed me up. She should have never told me that. But now she should have told me that. But I'm so thankful she gave me words of encouragement. See, what my mother was doing, she was teaching me something to keep me away from ignorance and foolishness and long-term frustrations, because those lessons that I learned from other people helped me to value a woman. And I'm thankful to God for the woman he put in my life today, my wife. Because I wouldn't trade this woman for the world. Because it helps me to identify what's good for you, what's not. Some things you just cannot deal with, and you shouldn't deal with. So when God opened that door for you, like I said, it's your right to walk through it. Now, if you don't want to walk through it, that's you. But at least he know how to open the door for you to get you out of a problem. So, with all that being said, the note for this lesson, titled Clean Clothes on a Dirty Soul. Subtitle, by way of a question: are we promoting generational ignorance by our actions? An end note would be this: make sure you as a person, or as a leader, or as a parent, or a spiritual leader, or a motivational speaker, whatever you are, that you are not the culprit with influencing or generating or conducting or indulging in generational ignorance. Because what goes around comes around. So, hope y'all was encouraged. Keep your head clear. Stay in God's strong and unchanging hands. Don't forget to pray. Y'all know I love y'all to life. I don't love y'all to death. I love you to life. When I'm gone, can't love you no more. So I'm going to love you while I'm here. Y'all take it easy. Stay strong. Till next time.